3 Count Thursday is sponsored by Arena Eats. Log on to the website arenaeats.app, that's arenaeats.app, for the ultimate fan experience. At your favorite sports venue, Arena Eats mobile app, pre-order, express pickup, and in-seat delivery. How do you place your order? Let's get to this, though. We did have the
3 Count question of the week.
And it is actually from a listener. Mario on Facebook gave us this one.
It's me, Mario.
From watching Dark Side of the Ring, he said, he asked, who has let you down the most, or as a result of their story, have you stopped being a fan of? And if you have any questions, suggestions that you want to hear us discuss on the show, hit us up on social media or 3countthursday@gmail.com. But I'll run down the episodes. These are the episodes from the first 2 seasons of Dark Side of the Ring. You had Randy Savage and Elizabeth, the Montreal Screwjob, the killing of Bruiser Brody, the Von Erichs, the death of Gino Hernandez, the Fabulous Moolah, Chris Benoit, Nancy Benoit, the death of Eddie Guerrero. That was all kind of tied together in a 2-parter. New Jack, the Brawl for All, Jimmy Snuka, the death of Dino Bravo, the David Schultz, John Stossel episode, Herb Abrams and the UWF, the Road Warriors, and then the Owen Hart accident were the episodes from the first 2 seasons. And if you haven't caught any of the Dark Side, what they call it, like Confidential or something, where they re-air the episode and then they have the producers of the show with some like extra content and stuff like that. Surprise, surprise! It's it's Conrad there at the 2300 Arena. How are you? They if it's a new wrestling show, I just assume it's going to be hosted by Conrad. But I think there is also a season 3 of Dark Side coming. But to this question, and I do love the question, but I don't know that there's necessarily anybody that has let me down the most or that I've stopped being a fan of that I wasn't already in that realm. Like, I mean, the easy one is the Benoit situation. But I knew of that story. There was some things I learned or kind of they dug a little bit deeper and all these things. So there's not really one that I have stopped being a fan of, like, but I love the stories. Like it's, so for me, I don't think any of them changed mine. I think probably the one I've learned a bit about in the last couple of years has been the Fabulous Moolah. And that was kind of exposed a little bit before the episode, learned a little bit more about it. So if there was one I would have to say it might be Fabulous Moolah, but I don't necessarily know that I was like a fan of Moolah to begin with, just because, she was well before my time. Anybody else wants to take it next?
I don't think it changed my opinion on anybody. If anything, it cemented my opinion on like things that I've heard. Again, you're a wrestling fan for so long.
Right.
And we host a podcast about wrestling. I don't think I heard a story that I wasn't aware of.
Yeah, we're pretty ingrained in the world.
It confirms that, Chris Benoit had some head issues and was a son of a bitch. And you know what I mean? New Jack's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
I kind of was like, yeah, New Jack's crazy. And then I was like, oh, he's crazy.
He's really crazy.
Got it. The Bruiser Brody thing, like I was familiar with that story. I learned a lot from that episode.
Yeah, like
but I didn't change any opinion necessarily. Let me answer the opposite way. Chris Jericho from the Benoit episode earned some respect for what he had done.
Yeah,
I'll say that. So kudos to, lost it all. with the whole demo god and the COVID god and all that
and
bullshit.
And $40,000 to the 45 campaign
but things like that.
But here's the thing, like
he did a good thing.
Like here's the thing, I'm obviously not a fan of 45, but like Jericho also will, as anonymously as possible, give thousands of dollars at a time to like fans, like GoFundMe's for funeral and wrestlers GoFundMe for funerals. Right. So yes, while I despise the fact that you're giving, $40,000-$50,000 to a political campaign that certainly doesn't need your money, I'm not going to do the Cornette thing and completely write off Jericho as a terrible person because of it, because he still does like there's things I don't agree with that Chris Irvin does with his him and his family in their spare time, but there are certainly things I respect him a lot about as well. Tim.
So I had to do some looking up, but in the Dr. D. David Schultz documentary, I learned about probably the dirtiest, rottenest dude in wrestling.
Bret Hart.
Eddie Mansfield.
Oh. Ooh.
The guy who was disgruntled enough and wasn't getting pushed and agreed to go on television and expose everything.
That's a good point. That's great, actually, Tim.
So learning about Eddie Mansfield is probably the one guy that I absolutely hate walking away from the
Dark Side of the Ring
saga.
Interesting. Mark, is there anyone for you?
Yes. Well, I was never a huge fan of Jimmy Snuka. I mean, I didn't mind him. Didn't necessarily care when he returned, and they pushed him as a babyface. But, the things you've read, and then, of course, him being in the news in the last, well, not recent years, but not too many years removed, when they were trying to put him on trial for murder. I mean, it really, all signs point to that man murdered a woman. Jimmy Snuka murdered his girlfriend at the time and got away with it. And, that really not so good. Jimmy Snuka and Vince really looks like he had a hand in trying to cover that up. Really, really dirty. Not a big Snuka fan at all anymore. And then on the other hand, I had a lot more respect for New Jack because he really is crazy, and Dr. D. I really like those two more than I thought I did before. But yeah, Snuka, not a fan.
Yeah.
Did they release what the new season's episodes are going to be?
They did. Tim, you want to look that up?
And is one of them actually a Nick Gage episode, or is it like a deathmatch episode?
No, it is a Nick Gage episode. I mean, I'm sure they'll touch on deathmatch wrestling and stuff like that, but I think it is focused on
his story is going to be absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah. And
Did you see his video yesterday?
I didn't.
That he put out. I sent it in the group chat.
I'll check it out after the show.
Because it was like trans awareness. Could we play that? I don't know. Is there a way we could play that from his Twitter on the show?
Yeah,
I mean, it's not safe for work. So if you're listening at work out loud, put headphones in because it's Nick Gage. So it's not going to be a safe listen. I'm going to tell you that right now. But here's a man who spent time in prison, is also probably crazy a little bit, does some crazy shit in deathmatch wrestling, and has the common sense to say something like he says here. And again, tweets it out yesterday on what was the actual day? Trans Awareness Day, something along.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Tim, your mic's off.
Your mic's off, Tim.
It was the Day of Visibility.
Day of Visibility.
Visibility. Shit, that's it. Yes. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Here it is. Let me play. It's only like 38 seconds.
Yeah.
First off, I'm the god of this shit. I'm Nick fucking Gage. I'm a leader of a murder, death, kill gang. I got something to say right now. I'm talking about trans rights right now, especially in the climate of this America right now. Trans rights are human rights. They are human fucking beings. And if you're transphobic, guess what? You see me, I'm gonna fuck you up. MDK all fucking day. Shout out to all the trans out there, support you. Keep fighting the fight. And anybody else, humans' rights, keep fighting.
I mean,
if Nick Gage can get it,
straight to the point, man. Like,
come on, guys.
Yep.
yeah, it's.
I can't wait to see that episode. That episode's going to be.
But yeah, like
crazy.
you said something, and I think it's a great point, Ryan. Is like I just learned a lot of things I didn't know, like the Bruiser Brody, the Gino Hernandez episode, the Dino Bravo one. Like I knew like how he died, but like actually learning the story of like how exactly he got into that world. The Herb Abrams UWF episode, like
Yo,
dude,
the Herb Abrams story
freaking
is
real.
So good.
Wild. It really is.
It's
There's
wild.
many-
So like that's what I've loved about that show is just like the things that I've learned. Three Count Thursday is sponsored by Arena Eats. Log on to the website arenaeats.app. That's arenaeats.app for the ultimate fan experience. At your favorite sports venue, Arena Eats mobile app, pre-order, express pickup, and in-seat delivery. How do you place your order? But in like the same time, and this isn't just not necessarily to the episode, like, and this is what I've always said, and the more we learn about like head injuries and head trauma and CTE and stuff like that, is like obviously what Chris Benoit did at the end of his life is horrible. It's unforgivable. It is an absolute tragedy that not only that he took his own life, but he took his wife's life, he took his son's life. But in the same time, like I can't help get out of my own head the fact that like this guy was so like because of his head injuries and because for a long time you didn't know any better about, you know, headshots and flying headbutts and, you know, and all that sort of stuff. Like when you got concussed, you just got a little dazed, you know,
Right.
Like that's the way they look at it. You know, you rub some dirt on it, you drink a few beers, you pop a few pills, and you get back to work the next day. So like he didn't know any better. And you know, he always wanted to work and this and that. So like there's a part of me that, and it does not forgive what he did at the end of his life, but there's a part of me that feels like bad for the fact that he had this problem that at the time we didn't understand how to diagnose or how to deal with it. And like there wasn't, you know, we like mental health in 2021 is something that's not even handled properly, much
Correct.
less in, you know, the early 90s, mid 90s, stuff like that. So like the way his life ended and what he did to his family is a horrible thing. But like there's also a degree of tragedy to Chris Benoit as well, which kind of gets lost. Like, should he ever be in the Hall of Fame? No. Like, but like, I don't. There's a certain degree of like hatred for Chris Benoit that again I understand, but for me there's also a degree of like sympathy for him as well because of the fact that like he was dealing with something that we didn't understand, and even right now we probably don't even come close to fully understand.
Yeah, no, that's I think well said, Jim. I can echo those sentiments. You know, if we knew then, even what we know now, how preventable was this? You know, and what does Chris Benoit look like today? Like, does this, you know, does it take away his memories? Does it, like, what would he be like today? Full-blown Parkinson's? I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
I mean it's
dementia. Who knows? Like with those brain injuries, and it's been years. I mean, how would he have aged and progressed? You know, with like a Swiss cheese brown. I don't know what else to say, but like the damage done is just awful.
But
really,
you know,
really awful.
would it have gotten as bad as it got? Because now, you know, if you see signs of a concussion, you're pulling somebody out and you're evaluating them, and you know maybe he has to, you know, because part of the reason Daniel Bryan had retired for a couple years was like some concussion issues as well. It wasn't just the neck and the arm and all of that. So
Right. I mean, there was a time where, like, yeah, concussions, my brain just smacked against my skull.
Yeah.
And I love that, you know, the idea was rub some dirt on
got a
it,
little fuzzy.
you know? Right. Walk it off.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and it's just player safety.
Here, I'll take care of
wrestler.
it.
Right. Even to the fact that, like, the stories were like, I took pain pills because I was in pain. The pain pills kept me up, so I took sleeping pills.
Yeah.
The sleeping pills made my head foggy, so I took uppers to wake up.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, the lifestyle that these guys were living is just horrific.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, and you know, we've talked on this show about, like, with the Kurt Angle podcast, how he forgets where he is in conversation and stuff sometimes. He was in pro wrestling for like this long, like over the grand scheme of things. Right. You know, when you're talking about a guy like Benoit that was in it from, you know, for years and decades and stuff like that, and like Angle started at the end of where Benoit was.
You could catch a concussion or two amateur wrestling.
Oh, sure.
Well, like,
sure.
There's definitely, you know,
his hard living started when he was like a legit wrestler.
Oh yeah, I mean he had a broken freaking neck.
Broken freaking neck in the
Right.
Olympics. Your body's worn down already. I mean, in a totally different way. We're not taking crazy bumps or getting thrown through King of the Ring glass.
But he's also like wrestling in the heavyweight division, and he was on the lighter end of the heavyweight division. Like he could have cut weight and been a killer in a lower weight class.
For sure.
But instead, I have the list of Dark Side season 3 so far.
Yeah.
Ooh.
The season premiere will be Brian Pillman.
Ooh.
We also have the Frontier Martial Arts Wrestling promotion, FMW.
Okay.
That'd be great.
XPW, Extreme Pro Wrestling, which is an ECW West Coast deal.
Yep.
Nick Gage, the WCW.
Wow, this is really hardcore so far. Then,
yeah,
like that's 3 hardcore in a row.
Yep. WCW New Japan Collision in Korea '95. The Smith family, so Grizzly Smith and his children, Michael Sam Houston, Rockin' Robin, and Jake Roberts.
Woof. That one's going to be a dark episode.
Ion Croatoru, a.k.a. Bruiser Bedlam and Johnny Canine.
Okay.
Looked him up. The reason why that's going to be so good is because after he was a wrestler, he had run-ins with the law as a part of Satan's Choice motorcycle gang and multiple murder convictions. Don't sleep on this episode.
So charity work is what you're telling us.
Oh, okay.
He went into the charity business.
Yeah. Chris Canyon and the Dynamite Kid.
Who better than Canyon?
Nobody better than Canyon.
Yeah, that's
I mean, it's a shame. Like, I'm excited to watch these, but it's literally exposing the dark side of the ring. Like, as a wrestling fan, I know it's there. So again, it's not going to change my opinion on professional wrestling. But the way that they did, it's so good. Oh, if you've never watched an episode, stop listening to us right now and find an episode.
No, finish listening to us and then
hang with us for another couple minutes.
The other documentary that really kind of made me skeezed out was the Randy Savage one. The Savage and Elizabeth one from season 1.
Okay.
And how out of pocket Randy seemed to be, as possessive as he was portrayed to be with Liz. Like, Randy Savage is an all-time great professional wrestler. He's like in the list of guys with like Brett, and like it's a very fine line of like most people who have matches with him have their best match of all time with a Randy Savage, a Bret Hart, not a Shawn Michaels, but like a Ric Flair. Like, but outside of the ring, Randy Savage was like borderline psychotic.
Yeah.
Be a man, Hulk.
But then, like, if you look at it from his perspective, he thinks that the Hulkster is keeping Liz from him. And it's very weird. And like now the more I hear about Hulk, like it's very Presto Strangeo in a certain light.
Yeah.
You can go on eBay right now and get your own copy of Be a Man, the Macho Man Randy Savage CD for $99.75. Only one CD is listed.
You could also just like download it, or you can play it on Spotify for.
Can't do that. You gotta
free?
have the hard copies.
Did
folks.
did I ever tell you the story about CD Warehouse in Lancaster?
They used to have a copy.
They had a copy of the Savage CD behind the counter, and the store was going out of business. So, and it was basically like everything must go, selling the farm, store closing. And I went in there and I said, so everything in the store is for sale. And the guy's like, yeah. So I said, how much for the Macho Man CD behind the counter? He goes, no, that's not for sale. And I'm like, what do you mean? Because it had a tag on it, because I think it was initially somebody had brought it back in there, and the tag was like $8.99 or something. It was kind of like scratched off or whatever. And I was like, I'll give you $25. Like I wanted it because I had seen it up there for years.
Yep.
And the guy's like, no. I was like, all right, I'll give you $50. And he just wouldn't sell it. Like, I don't know if he or somebody there was, and he just wasn't telling me, somebody that worked there was a wrestling fan and already kind of laid a claim on it.
The seller on eBay is CD Warehouse.
But yeah, so I was pissed that I never that wasn't able to get that. But yeah, that one, but I
the only copy I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, it was the yeah.
Warehouse in Lancaster, yeah.
But yeah, definitely that one was a bit eye-opening, but again, like, when you hear some of the different stories about how kind of like loose and with morality that was going around in the backstage world of professional wrestling back then, you can kind of maybe understand why Randy was a little bit protective of his wife back then. But yeah, it did kind of get to the level of uncomfortable at times as well. So that was a little bit of an eye opener to it. But yeah, definitely a good question there from Mario. And again, if you have questions for us that you want to hear us answer as part of the
3-count question of the week,
hit us up. Send us a message on Facebook, on Twitter, or you can email us 3countthursday at gmail.com. Final topic before we get to the news. This was something.
Do we have a question of the week next week?
I have one in the on the cards, but it doesn't.
Okay, well then I don't want to jumble it up.
But we can add whatever you're thinking, just as a general topic of discussion for next week. We can discuss that. Three Count Thursday is sponsored by Arena Eats. Log on to the website arenaeats.app. That's arenaeats.app for the ultimate fan experience. At your favorite sports venue, Arena Eats mobile app, pre-order, express pickup, and in-seat delivery. How do you place your order?